Cool. So, Orion, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Orion Tait. I am one of the co-founders and chief creative officer of Buck, which is, we call ourselves a creative company. We do lots of different things at this point.
Yeah. Did you always imagine some kind of creative role that you would land in?
I don't think so. I think that I just grew up in an environment I was surrounded by creative people, certainly, but I don't think I really understood a career path in this world. To be honest, I don't think I thought far enough ahead or was in a position. As a kid, I was really just scrambling to figure out my next move. I was raised by a single mom and had I would say like a challenging childhood in terms of, academically. Like I ended up going to a very academically challenging school and didn't have any real perspective on that. So I don't think I ever stopped to think about what I wanted to be, I just kind of kept moving. And just, I think through a combination of maybe luck and good instincts, kind of ended up doing something that I, truly love. So.
With your background as filmmaking, fine arts, and graphic design, is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Curious with that, like how important do you think it is for, in general, most creatives, but especially in visual effects, to learn how to tell story and convey story in the work that they do?
I think it's essential. I think that I would say that Buck, primarily is known as kind of being at the intersection of a lot of folks for a lot of time thought of us really as a motion design studio. And I think I found, especially earlier in my career when we were doing a lot more in that space, that's having a foundation in storytelling was really essential. And a lot of folks coming out of school, out of training, didn't necessarily get that. Especially when you saw people coming out of the more graphic design track, to be able to kind of have the language of filmmaking even in motion design, I think is really essential. And I think as we're starting to see a lot of these worlds collide, you're always using character and story to inform so much. So yeah, I find that blend has been really useful for me over the years.
Great. Yeah, no, I think it's so critical. And it's as you mentioned with graphic design, I feel like, let's say effects or other less story-driven things, it's one of those things that you can easily neglect, but it's kind of the same way that you talk to a client when you start talking about aggressive or more elegant, like there's certain words, but it's really, you're giving character to what you're doing. So it's really important.
Sure. Yeah. And I think even in, as we got more into, I would say, narrative, character-driven work, of course, like we brought in a lot of filmmakers where that is their first language. But I find even the VFX folks, like sometimes don't speak that language or don't speak the idea of character animation, and every little detail or choice that you make, even in how you light a scene or something, really, I think should be informed ultimately, like everyone kind of wants to be on the same page. Because to me, that's the best work, is the one where everyone is kind of leveling up towards a common goal, right? Rather than just being told which buttons to push or how to deliver this shot or this scene. If everyone kind of understands what the end goal is, then they can make it better rather than just doing what they were told to do by their director or whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.